Hi and welcome to the Sewing Street tutorial YouTube. Today I want to talk about the things that go wrong with needle felting. I'm telling you now, I've needle felted for, 20 years, and so many people tell me this isn't working for me and this isn't working for me. I really have heard it all, but I can tell you also it's never you. Yes, it's never you, because needle felting is the easiest thing that anybody can learn. So I'm going to give you some examples. One of the things that I often get told is I break needles all the time. Needle breakages do happen. If they do happen, make sure you dispose of your needle safely in a sharps bin, or maybe wrap it up several times and then put it in the bin so that nobody else can injure themselves. If you use your felting needle in the correct way, where you're going in and out in a straight line, you probably don't get any needle breakages. But sometimes you might use a needle that is actually not suitable for the project that you're using. So if it's a needle that's too thick and you have to force it in, if you have to do this, this is not how to needle felt. Needle felting should be a light stabbing activity. If you have to really force that needle in, you're using a too thick needle. So just go down a needle size and you suddenly find that it makes it a lot easier. The needle needs to go in and straight out again. If you are doing something like levering the needle left, right, or center, it doesn't like it. It will break. Again, if your needle breaks, dispose of it safely. But also sometimes, we hate it all, you end up with half of the needle stuck inside your project and the other half in your hand. And how are you going to get this out of that? So sometimes you have to make tough choices. It depends what you're doing with your finished needle felting item, whether it's just going to sit on the shelf and it will definitely never ever be touched by anybody. Then you might just leave it in there and yes, don't get rid of it. But sometimes you might have to get rid of the whole project that you have done. But the good thing is you get to make another one. Yes, love that. So wool is another thing. People often say the wool's not felting, or again, needles are breaking. If you don't have the right wool, then that's also an absolute no-no. So we tend to recommend to use a wool bat. That's spelled B-A-T-T. I always say, no, we don't take wool from bats. It's okay, they're safe. It's taken from sheep, but it's the way that it's been processed into sort of a really lofty, nice wool that receives the needle really willingly. If you have got what we call a wool top, which is a long strand of wool, sometimes the fibers are so close together that you literally physically can't fit a needle into it. Doesn't mean to say you can't use wool tops, but if you're using a loose, coarser fiber, use a coarse needle. If you're using a wool top, which is tighter, the wool fibers are tighter together, even though it feels really soft, you might need to use a finer needle. If you are needle felting and you're not getting the shape, or you're making an indentation or a hole, if you constantly stab in one area, you're not going to get rid of that hole. I know it's sometimes hard to sort of in your mind to understand what you're making with that needle, or what you're achieving by stabbing the needle. When you stab the needle, you're pushing the fibers in and they shrink away, and they will make an indentation, like you can hopefully see here. So to get rid of that indentation, you have to needle felt around it rather than in it, to level out the surrounding area. That is a very common problem that people have, because they just think the more I stab it, the more that hole will go away, but it's actually the opposite. If you've got any cracks on your needle or an uneven surface, just take a wisp of wool, spread it out thinly, apply it really softly, and then just felt it down and into place. However, if you are using all of that and you want to put this on here, it's going to be really hard for your needle to process all of this, and that's also another reason why your needle may break. Little and often is the principle for needle felting. Less is always more. It's much better to use small amounts of wool, felt them down, and then layer up more and more to go over the top. Making a basic shape is the simplest thing that you can do with needle felting. You literally just wind the wool in and make it into a ball shape and felt it down. The absolute nemesis of needle felting for me is when people use polystyrene balls. You do not need them. Polystyrene is just another form of plastic. When you're using a natural fiber, why put plastic inside? And also it's an absolute notorious needle breaker. Plus, it stops you from actually being creative and sculpting the shape, because it's already there and it's very rigid. So don't do it. Don't do it. The best thing is to make sure you buy the right materials and the right tools. And I can 100% promise you, whatever we have got in our shop, I can't use it if it's not working for me. It's not making it into the shop. Most of all, enjoy the process. It shouldn't be a hardship. It should be nothing but joy. and for you to have lots and lots of fun and get creative. So go for it and just do it. And of course, remember to subscribe and like the channel so that you have access to lots more tutorials and useful information about needle felting and other crafts. Thank you.